I'm Margaret Webb with Daily Xtra, and I'm delighted to have Roselyn Odoyo here, who is with a really cool East African organization called Uhai Eashri. Maybe you can explain a little bit about what that means.
We're an African grant-making mechanism, giving grants to African communities, particularly being specific to the East Africa region. We work in 5 countries now. That's Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, and Rwanda. We're hoping to expand into DRC and Ethiopia. And we fund or we give grants to peer-led organizations that work on the health and rights generally of the sexual minorities, that's LGB, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and sex workers, as well as gender non-conforming individuals, that's transgender and intersex, and other gender non-conforming individuals.
And you, or your organization, partnered with a group that that funded a film, The Story of Our Lives, that came here to TIFF and had its world premiere to tremendous reaction. It's a fabulous film. And it looks at Kenyan gays and lesbians struggling to live their lives in Kenya. One of the filmmakers had a tremendous quote. This is one of the filmmakers for The Stories of Our Lives, said that countries around the world are grappling with issues of gender identity and sexual diversity, but unfortunately the bodies of black people, the bodies of Africans, are the places where this war happens. And I was wondering if you could shed a little bit more light on that comment.
Now you have situations in which maybe in a country, a US evangelical is going to feel that they're able to come in and say that, you know what, Africa, you need to protect yourself from homosexuals, and then kind of drive an agenda. The agenda has to emanate from Africa and by Africans. And for the longest time, Africa has been used for all sorts of things and for all sorts of, to drive all sorts of different agendas that may not necessarily have any direct connection to the African people as a continent, continentally speaking. So I completely agree.
The filmmakers who put on The Story of Our Lives actually came out in Toronto as queer. And I'm wondering what repercussions, if any, will they face when they go back?
Hopefully, and what we're hoping is that there's going to be national pride that a Kenyan film is at TIFF, and that is what the focus will be, and not you know, a sensationalization on the sexualities are there. And even then, the film opens up a lot of avenues for conversation that should be had, especially in countries that are perceivably more conservative and more moralist when it comes to sexuality and gender identities. For example, I think it's good because then there's a line in one of the films that asks, they keep saying that we're an African, and if we're not African, then what are we? And that is a valid question that I think will and should speak to very many people. And then on the converse, there could be the negative reaction, which is the sensationalism around it and the focus and kind of scapegoating the film. We continue to remain optimistic that it's going to be the positive outcome.
Is there a role that the queer community here in North America can play in contributing to your work?
Yeah, we give our grants through a peer grant making process, which means that the organizations that we do support and that we partner with are the ones that decide, you know. And I think that is very, very important. It's very important too, because then that changes the dynamic of the conversation from an imbalance of power to a, I'm up here and I'm helping you, to a, look, we're both after the same thing, we're both after the same objective, but because this is your lived reality, this is you living it, how's about you tell us how we can be able to support without getting in the way or without making it worse?
How can we support without getting in the way or making it worse?
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much for coming in to speak to us
Thank
today.
you for
It was a
having
wonderful
me.
conversation,
Yes.
Roselyn.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.